Thank you for joining us tonight. You're now with me, Shel Shemnato, for TVS Nightline. We begin with the headlines. Now, all signs are pointing to the polls as the Chief Minister, Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg, hinted today on the 12th state election.
Kami orang Islam Sarawak Ibusa adalah bedok bunyi. Si lama lagi ada bedok sikit akan bunyi juga. Bedok besar bunyi banyak orang jalan, orang lansia ada 50 tahun apa ada kita. Orang kedaya kata benar. Ada mata, buta. Ada telinga, pengan. You can see apa yang telah kita buat. 50 tahun ada batang air.
The term for the current Sarawak State Legislative Assembly or DUN will end in June this year. Sarawak last held its state election in 2016. Touching on GPS's coalition with Perikatan Nasional or PN, Abang Jo explained that GPS is free to form an alliance with any party, so long as the state development is the main priority.
GPS is only partner to PN. Jadi dasar kita lebih otonomis, independen dalam kita membangunkan negeri kita. Kerana ia terpaksa sesuai dengan kehendak negeri kita. MA63 masih kita laksanakan, kita perjuangkan.
Meanwhile, the Sarawak government will improve the facilities and assets of Lubok Antu's customs, immigration and quarantine complex in Sri Aman. This will restrict the entry of illegal immigrants into the state. Now, currently, the lack of these facilities and assets in Lubok Antu is one of the constraints to restrict the entry of illegal immigrants. The situation is worse with many illegal routes along the national border between Sarawak and Kalimantan, Indonesia.
Di kawasan Lubok Antu, setakat ini kita telah kena pasti banyak laluan tikus lah yang aktif. Kita tengok di sini kawasan Panjaruai antara salah satu hotspot lah yang dikena pasti. Di sini CIQS, okay. Bandar Lubok Antu, Jalan John ini antara yang aktif dan juga satu lagi Jalan Pesawat.
State government will work with the government of Indonesia through the Consulate General of the Republic of Indonesia to ensure that the people of the country enter Sarawak through legal entrance.
Yang pas, yang boleh digunakan untuk daerah Lubok Antu sahaja. Ada pas yang setuju di antara negara Indonesia dan Malaysia. Yang satu, dua ialah kita national passport. Apa yang kita macam penduduk pun ada pas juga. Kita sebenarnya menerima kerjasama yang baik daripada Indonesia, daripada pihak Konsulat Jeneral juga dan perkara ini.
Oil palm plantation roads are often used by the people of neighbouring countries to enter Sarawak, illegally considering it is located just next to the national border. The issue will be coordinated by a committee headed by Deputy Chief Minister Tan Sri James Jemut Masing.
Itulah kita dengar tadi dengan taklimat kita balik bahawa saya dapat umum sekarang. Kita buat kajian dulu. Kerana memang kelapa sawit border sebelah ya. Mereka boleh menggunakan ladang kelapa sawit untuk masuk. Kita buat kajian dulu. I cannot give you an answer now. We have to study.
Abang Johari added the state government will consider to build better roads at the borders of the two countries to tighten the security border. On the other hand, the Lubok Antu Waterfront as a tourist attraction has given new hope to locals, especially small traders in the area. It showed that Lubok Antu has the potential to attain development as other big cities in Sarawak.
Mansang sebagai hari pada YB, kayaknya Waterfront Lubok Antu ke baru Datuk. Aku ngarap ke oleh mereka sukuang tolong ke pelancong ke datai benua bukai oleh datai ke Lubok Antu mendak perampak mana benua Lubok Antu. Apa yang mega harap ke maju ke hari benua bukai.
Di sini ialah biasa kan di batang air yang jadi tarikan, biasa pelancong datang sini dia mau melawat ke batang air. Sekarang sudah ada waterfront, dengan adanya waterfront ini insyaallah Saya rasa Lubok Antu ni boleh semakin majulah.
To fulfill the locals' wishes, Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg has agreed to approve the proposal to build a bridge at Lubok Antu Waterfront.
Untuk menghubung kampung sebelah dengan Waterfront. Ya, juga kacak Waterfront kita. Siada saya dengan Waterfront yang ada uang hutan begitu besar. Jadi nampaknya ada tarikan di sini. Memanglah di sini banyak national park. Jadi saya meluluskanlah jembatan ini yang menghubung dua. Caranya saya serah kepada pihak jurutera.
Meanwhile, Batang Air State Assemblyman Malcolm Mohsen Lamos said the state government will continue to support the infrastructure development in Lubok Antu.
Penduduk di Batang Air mengharapkan banyak lagi pembangunan, ya, terutamanya pembangunan infrastruktur dan ameniti seperti air dan elektrisiti yang sudah menjadi isu lapuk. Ya. Jadi saya rasa dengan adanya perancangan terperinci nanti tempat di sekitar pekan Lubok Antu akan dibangunkan. Ya. Sekiranya yang menjadi international gateway di antara Sarawak dengan Kalimantan. Ya.
Waterfront Lubok Antu ini nyata membuka harapan baru buat rakyat, lebih-lebih lagi dari potensinya sebagai tarikan pelancongan yang secara langsung mampu meningkatkan lagi aktiviti ekonomi di daerah ini, lebih-lebih lagi dengan pembangunan yang kian dilaksanakan. Laporan Odlin Katerni bersama juru kamera Awang Azmil dari Lubok Antu untuk TVS.
And there will be more things to be thankful for this gawai for Longhouse residents in Poyut and Lubok Nibong areas in Marudi, as pipe water is to be supplied before the festival this year.
The 38 million ringgit pipeline project was approved by the then Barisan National Government in 2018, and tender for the project was issued by the Ministry of Rural Development before the 14th general election. About 32 longhouses in Poyut and Lubok Nibong will benefit from the pipeline project.
And a total of 13 high-impact water supply projects had been developed in Serian since 2018 at a cost of 223 million ringgit. Now, this included 10 projects worth 106 million ringgit under the Sarawak state government. 3 more projects costing 120 million ringgit will be funded by the federal government through the Ministry of Rural Development or KPLB.
Tugas kita amat berat kerana kita diberi sasaran oleh kerajaan negeri untuk memastikan bahawa seluruh Sarawak, terutama di kawasan bawah bandar, dapat kita salurkan dalam keadaan air bersih, air terawat secara 100% menjelang tahun 2025. In other words, it means by 2025, every single household in the state should have clean water supply.
8 projects had been completed as of March this year, while 5 more are still in the development stage.
Kita telah menyambung bahagian Kuching ke bahagian Serian dan bahagian Semarang. And also same thing di kawasan tengah, Sibu, sambung dengan Serikit, kawasan Berdekatan dan also di Bengkak Utara. And day nanti bila menjelang tahun 2024, kalau boleh semua kawasan daripada selatan hingga ke utara Sarawak kita mempunyai satu sistem penyaluran pipe air yang bersambung. Itu disebut sebagai sistem grid air Sarawak.
Meanwhile, 4 projects for the people are in various stages of implementation, including a booster pump station in Kampong Entayang Kropok, Jalan Ensingay water supply, upgrading works of Serian water treatment plant, and development of Serian water treatment plant, and development of Serian Kinduri treatment. And Petronas today announced a new oil and gas discovery in the Serong 1 Wildcat exploration well of Block SK405B Production Sharing Contract, or PSC, located in the shallow waters of Balingan Province, about 237 kilometers off the coast of Miri, Sarawak, Malaysia. Now, Wildcat exploration well means the presence of oil in the area has not been proven or fully exploited.
The Serong 1 exploration well was successfully drilled to a total depth of 2,538 meters in February 2021. The discovery of significant oil and gas column exceeding 100 meters within the Oligocene to Middle Miocene sandstone reservoirs. This further validates the potential of Balinian province, with remaining prospects yet to be explored. Petronas Vice President of Exploration Upstream, Emiliana Rice-Oxley said, the Sirong-1 discovery further proves the presence of oil, especially in the underexplored deeper play within the Balinian province. For the record, PTTEP Sarawak Oil Limited, as the operator, holds 59.5%. Meanwhile, Moeco Oil Sarawak Sendirian Berhad holds 25.5%, and Petronas Carigali Sendirian Berhad, a subsidiary of Petronas, holds the remaining 15% participating interest in Block SK405B.
Now on to our crime update, as 5 men and a woman aged between 22 and 51 were arrested by the police for allegedly being involved in drug abuse activities in the budget hotels at the Old Town area around 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
Bintulu Police Chief Superintendent Zulkifli Suhaili said the raid was led by IPD Bintulu Narcotics Criminal Investigation Division Chief ASP Muning Jakung with 7 policemen. Meanwhile, 4 others involving 3 men and a woman were also tested positive for methamphetamine. The 2 men will be investigated under Section 12, Bracket 2 of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 and Section 15, Bracket 1A of the same Act for possessing and consuming drugs. Meanwhile, he said 4 other suspects will be investigated under Section 15, Bracket 1A of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952 for consuming drugs.
Thank you for staying with me. And a comprehensive transformation needs to be done on the cooperative movement in the country. This is to empower and strengthen its roles so as to achieve sustainability in facing the challenges of the 21st century in line with the digitalization era. This move was taken by the Ministry of Entrepreneurial Development and Cooperatives when it developed the Malaysian Cooperatives Transformation Plan 2020 to 2021.
Saya yakin bahawa koperasi adalah pendekatan yang efektif bagi merangsang pembangunan keusahawanan dalam kalangan masyarakat Malaysia, dan konsep koperasi yang berpaksikan prinsip inklusiviti dan keterangkuman dengan mencipta keuntungan melalui aktiviti milikan bersama adalah bersesuaian untuk diaplikasikan dalam situasi ekonomi negara pada masa ini.
Muhyiddin said the plan also lined up 20 strategic steps and 36 programs and activities to steer the development. As such, he called on all quarters involved in cooperative development to give their cooperation and undivided commitment to the ministry in implementing the transformation plan. Following the next news, as samples collected from the Sanyan cluster in Cebu detected a high rate of positive COVID-19 cases. Now, due to this, the Sarawak Health Department will have to repeat the swab exercise for the cluster.
Its director, Dr. Chin Zhen Heng, said at the moment there won't be any more mass active case detection plan for Cebu, but that they will need to repeat the swab exercise for cluster Sanyan. Meanwhile, the active case detection exercise carried out at the Sibujaya Tamu Market on March 27 found no new positive cases. However, 7 positive COVID-19 cases were detected out of 150 samples during the mass screening at Durin Basketball Court.
And the public is urged to adhere to the advice given by the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, or SDMC, by avoiding social gatherings. Now, this includes meeting family members to prevent the spread of the virus.
Continuous cooperation from the public is important to curb the virus outbreak, especially through social gathering. According to a report from SDMC, Jalan Gribit Cluster is a community cluster that was detected in Jalan Dato Gribit in Lutong. Following that, Lee, who is also the minister responsible for Mirror Division Disaster Management Committee, continues to remind the public to refrain from social gatherings among family members.
And the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, or SDMC, reported 153 additional cases, with Cebu contributing the highest number at 40 cases. It is followed by Miri with 33, Kuching 20, Bintulu 18, Meradong 11, Marudi 6, Beluru 5, Julau and Tanjung Manis 4, Sarike, Subis and Sri Aman 3, Samarahan 2 and Sabau with 1. Now this brings the total cumulative cases in the state to 16,214. 2 deaths were reported in Miri and Bintulu Hospital, bringing the total death toll in the state to 107. The 106th death involved a 33-year-old individual in Miri who was declared to be COVID-19 positive on March 28, 2021 and died on the same day. Meanwhile, the other death involved a 61-year-old who was declared positive on March 20, 2021 and died on March 30, 2021. In addition, there are 33 active clusters and of the total, 8 reported additional new cases. Meanwhile, Tanjung Manis district is now categorized as orange zone after recording 23 local transmission in the past 14 days. This brings the number of districts categorized as orange zone to 5, while red zone 11, yellow 16 and 8 districts remain in the green zone. In the same development, the national R0 value has increased to 0.94 as of Monday. Now the number, which represents the COVID-19 infection rate, increased by 0.2 from 0.92 last Saturday.
Meanwhile, 6 states have the R0 value, which crosses the 1 mark, including Kelantan at 1.16, Pahang 1.14, Malacca 1.09, Sarawak 1.05, Kedah 1.03 and Penang at 1.02, the lowest COVID-19 infection rate ever recorded since the implementation of the Movement Control Order was on March 3rd at 0.81, while the highest was on March 25th at 1.
And the compound exemption for delay in registering new businesses and renewal of business registrations under the Business Registration Act 1956 has been extended until December 31. The state government will work with the government of Indonesia through the Consulate General of the Republic of Indonesia to ensure that the people of the country enter Sarawak through legal entrance. Oil palm plantation roads are often used by the people of neighboring countries to enter Sarawak, illegally considering it is located just next to the national border. The issue will be coordinated by a committee headed by Deputy Chief Minister Tan Sri James Jemut Masing. Abang Johari added the state government will consider to build better roads at the borders of the two countries to tighten the security border. Welcome back to the Nightline. Now, close to 50 million ringgit has been spent on various research and development or R&D projects conducted by the Malaysian Palm Oil Board or MPOB to enhance the industry in Sarawak.
Deputy Minister of Plantation Industries and Commodities, Dr. Willy Mongin said, from that amount, 14.09 million ringgit was for the development of MPOB research stations in Sesang and Balaga for agronomic studies of oil palm cultivation on peatlands, research grants on greenhouse gas emissions, as well as crop livestock oil palm integration projects. During a dialogue with oil palm industry players and MPOB licensees on Monday, Willy, who is also Puncak Borneo Member of Parliament, talked about the implementation of the R&D projects that had spanned from the 7th Malaysian Plan to 11th Malaysia Plan. Adding on, he said the government had utilized the cess collection for this sector to partly cover the palm oil-related R&D projects in the country. Additionally, the implementation of the new cess rate effective March 1st this year represented an increase to 16 ringgit per ton from 14 ringgit per ton previously. Willy also opined that price of CPO, which surged to 4,247 ringgit and 50 cents per ton on March 15 this year, an all-time high in the history of this commodity in Malaysia. This could be strengthened due to declining stocks, increased exports, and the strengthening soybean oil prices in the global market.
And the Welfare, Community Wellbeing, Women, Family and Childhood Development Ministry has received a total of 2,835 applications for Death Compassionate Assistance (BIK) from the next of kin of Kenyalang Gold Card or KGC holders since its launch last year.
Its Minister, Dato Sri Fatima Abdullah, said the number of BIK applications received last year was 1,862, while for this year, the ministry has received 973 applications up to March 26th. She said so during the presentation of KGC Strategic Partner Plates at a ceremony held at Waterfront Hotel on Monday. The ceremony also saw the presentation of BIK aid to 20 next of kin of cardholders, welfare aid to 5 kidney patients, and KGCS to 5 new applicants. Under BIK, which is one of the benefits of KGC, the next of kin of cardholder who had just passed away can apply for assistance of 3,000 ringgit to help them cover the funeral expenses of the deceased. Fatima said as of March 26 this year, a total of 202,722 senior citizens, or 64.35% of the senior citizen population in Sarawak, have applied for the Kenyalang Gold Card. On the KGC strategic partners, she said the addition of 5 more partners yesterday, including Waterfront Hotel, Everise Plaza Merdeka, Anmas Dental Clinic, Fairhill Food Kingdom, and Alpro Pharmacy, raised the total number of the card's strategic partners to 235.
Now on to some world news, as French households feasted on cheese last year as they turned to home cooking and sought gastronomic comfort during coronavirus lockdowns that shuttered the restaurant trade. The amount of cheese purchased by French shoppers for at-home consumption increased in 2020. Now that was part of a shift in food consumption in many countries last year as the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded. Households initially bulk buying staples like pasta and flour and later settling into home eating habits with extra purchases of products like butter. In France, mozzarella saw the steepest rise in demand among major cheese categories with a 21% volume jump. Cheese has nonetheless fared better than products like champagne or fish that are more reliant on events and restaurant trade. Meanwhile, cheese lovers also see an opportunity to safeguard France's renowned array of artisanal cheeses. And with foreign tourists kept away from the historic city of Bruges, chocolate maker Dominique Persson is counting on his fellow Belgians' taste for the unusual to boost business in the run-up to Easter. Now, among the spring specials he concocted ahead of the festival, the former chef is particularly proud of a praline made of grass juice, Granny Smith apple, and yuzu, an East Asian type of lemon.
When you're a classic chocolate maker, make very classic recipes. Caramels, praline, marzipan, and it's okay. We have classic bonbons too. But I think today, the customer wants to go on adventure, also when they are eating something. We are 43 people in the team. So we make a juice of grass, Granny Smith, and to put an extra acidity on it, we use the Japanese lime, it's yuzu. And the combination of those two, it's amazing. It's of course important to find the right balance between your chocolate, an origin chocolate, and then those flavors.
Belgium is trying to stem a third wave of COVID-19 infections, with most non-food shops open only by appointment and Belgians barred from leaving the country for non-essential travel. On a spring day, the picturesque city of Bruges, crisscrossed with canals, is normally humming with foreign tourists. But plummeting visitor numbers have taken the toll on many of the shops in town. Persson also said he believed chocolate contains a secret ingredient that has the power to counter the lockdown blues.
People and friends I know, after 1 year of COVID, they're getting depressed. And thanks God in chocolate, there's a secret ingredient and hormone that makes you happy. So I hope that the people eat a little bit of chocolate and maybe a glass of wine, and we can get a little bit of happiness in the evening.
And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Charles Chamerto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.